So Emmanuel has also described the brand of the Democratic Party. Rahm Emanuel called it, quote, weak, woke, and toxic. Is there truth to that?
Well, I think the Democratic brand does need improvement. I think that what we need to do is we need to realize that everyone right now feels like the American dream is slipping out of grasp. And I think that we need to point out that Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress are standing between people and the American dream. When they talk about closing the Department of Education and closing off access to career technical education or vocational education for the 60% of Americans who don't have a four-year college degree, that's a big problem. Or cutting Medicaid to the tune of 8 million people losing access to Medicaid because of this quote unquote big, beautiful bill, which is actually a large, lousy law. That's what we need to emphasize right now, and then present our own ideas for how they can better access the American dream.
Mr. Christian Morsi, the most recent CNN poll shows about 72% of voters disapprove of the way Democratic leaders in Congress are handling their job. That's actually the highest disapproval rating in the history of our polling. I'm wondering, what about you? Do you approve of the job Democratic leaders are doing in Congress?
Well, I actually support my own leader, Hakeem Jeffries, and I think that we need to continue, as I said, to change emphasis onto those economic issues, and we're doing it. But obviously, the proof is going to be in the 2026 elections, where I think we need to take back the House, and we need to have an effective check on the president. I think a lot of our constituents and voters right now feel as though Donald Trump is fundamentally changing kind of government and perverting it in a way that they don't even recognize. It's no longer the government that, for instance, attracted my family to America. And so that's what we need to focus on again.
I noticed that you said you support your own Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, but you didn't say Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader. Do you support the job he's doing?
I think that Chuck Schumer, he was somebody that during the last fight with regard to the continuing resolution, he ended up voting differently than the way I did in the House. Now we have to figure out, how do we strategize to prevent that situation from arising again? And so if I were privileged to be in the Senate, I definitely want to hear his ideas for how do we meet the moment right now, those economic problems that beset people. How does he want to tackle them? Because I think that is the urgency of the situation right now.
But at the moment, you won't say yes or no if you'd vote for him to be the next Democratic leader if you are elected to the Senate.
You're putting the cart before the horse. I need to win first. If I'm privileged to be in the Senate, I definitely want to hear his ideas for how do people afford a home? How do they educate their children? And how do they retire with dignity? So they also have access to Social Security and Medicare, which, by the way, are under threat by this very bill, this reconciliation bill in Congress right now.
Congressman, if you do win your race, I'm curious where you might differ from the man you're running to replace, Dick Durbin. By our count, Durbin voted to confirm 5 of President Trump's cabinet nominees. That includes Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Do you think that was the right vote?
I do at the time. I think that since then, we've seen that Marco Rubio has not been the independent voice that we were hoping that he would be. I think that, for instance, when USAID is completely demolished and, Marco Rubio basically seems to put a rubber stamp on it, that's a big problem. Or with regard to Ukraine, he doesn't seem to be the independent voice of reason to back Ukraine the way that we need to. That's another problem.
But you wouldn't have voted. You wouldn't have voted for you if you were the senator. You wouldn't have voted for Rubio.
No, I'm saying that at the time I may have voted for him the way that Senator Durbin did. Look, Dick Durbin is a legend, my friend. I mean, he's a titan of Illinois government and politics. I'm not going to second guess his judgment with regard to his votes on certain confirmations. I think that he is somebody who has done tremendous yeoman's work for Illinois.
Okay. All right, Congressman Roger Krishnamurthy, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking time and talking with us. Thanks for your perspective.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Up next.